I just attended a couple hours ago. I just finished attending actually a online web seminar that was touching on the MILAB topic. When I saw that it was coming up, I got really excited because I don't get to attend things. I don't get to go to conferences much or anything. I paid my last $10 that I had in my account for a ticket, go to this thing, and have spent the last couple hours listening to people talk about themselves and basically feeling like I was in a high school convention where I got to pay money to watch the cheerleader squad pat each other on the back and tell each other how wonderful they are and barely touch on any good information at all. Now, there are a lot of things that were mentioned, and they were things, but unfortunately for me, not their fault, unfortunately for me, there were things that I had already been looking into. So I've got this laundry list that I've been writing on stuff that I thought it would be really great if I could talk about it here because, some of it I have a different take on than what they were discussing. Um, I'm still a little bamboozled. I was one of the first to enter the room, and I was there watching them set up with the program and watched as people came in, and was there when they said, "Oh, well, all the attendees are going to have is a Q&A box," and I had absolutely no idea that there was a chat room happening. And I thought it was the Q&A box, so I was putting comments in the Q&A box and wondering why there wasn't really much happening from everyone else in the Q&A box. At the very end, they were, I'm not really a person that normally asks questions. I just kind of sit and soak up information, and it goes into the well inside. And so finally, near the end, I finally had a question to ask and was completely ignored, like completely ignored. And it was just this big click that I didn't belong in, and it was very clear I didn't belong in. So I'm really disappointed. I'm talking about it because it's an example of what I have been viewing as wrong in the quote unquote truther movement. They have decided that if you have a different view of them, of course you're wrong. They have a very religious outlook of things. Like sometimes they'll phrase things, and I swear to you, it makes me feel like I'm right back in church again. The idea of truth has become a religious movement instead of what it really should be. I really should learn what unhealthy people are and learn to get away from them. They're shutting others out that don't quite belong just because they don't view things exactly the same. It's not professional. It's certainly not being willing to face the truth. They actually sit amongst each other. All of these other people are false because they are filled with lies, and they're telling lies, and they're telling, and all this kind of stuff. And then just a few minutes later, they talk about how they don't have the right to say who's right and who's wrong. But yet they just spent a good 5-10 minutes patting each other on the back, telling each other that, essentially this other church was going to hell because they weren't following Jesus right, essentially. But I'm trying to be positive about it. But it's really hard because it also leaves me very depressed when this happens, that this is actually happening on the forefront like that, and people fall for it, and they don't know any better. They don't realize how imbalanced this kind of behavior is, while hollering about how you have to be spiritually connected and imbalanced. It's you can't do both. So that's the latest update I got, and it's not a very good one. I mean, the silver lining is I have a lot to talk about in the future, and it's good stuff, I think. Yeah, doodles. I can't help it. Doodles. Admittedly, I came to the meeting depressed and feeling isolated, and they actually touched on that, but in the opposite way. They were like saying, like, getting beamed and stuff in the opposite way. And so my take on that topic is literally the opposite, and I hope to cover that in the future. But this is getting to be long, so I'm going to stop here this time. But let's see if I can carry through with my intentions here. Bonsai. Bonsai. Cherries? Cherries, anyone? Cherries?